reasons that utterly escape everyone involved, you're listening to A Bipolar, a Schizophrenic, and a Podcast. Here are your hosts, Gabe Howard and Michelle Hammer.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and welcome to A Bipolar, a Schizophrenic, and a Podcast. I'm Gabe. I have bipolar.
I'm Michelle. I'm schizophrenic.
And together, we're a bipolar and a schizophrenic on a podcast.
That's right. You really described the podcast there, Gabe, by repeating the title once again.
I'm killing it.
You're
I'm
so
killing
smart.
it.
You're killing it with that old age you're getting.
You're an asshole.
Because your birthday is coming up. Your birthday's coming. You're getting old. Old Gabe. Gabe's getting old.
I have nothing to say to this. It's
How old are you turning, Gabe? 75?
42.
75?
42.
If you insist.
If I insist, do you really want to be known as the woman who hangs out with a 75-year-old guy?
Maybe I do.
That's fair. Michelle,
Yes.
what are you doing for Thanksgiving?
I'm going to my mama's, and I'm gonna eat some turkey.
I love how you always say you're going to your mama's, even though, like, your dad lives there, too. You're going to your parents. Does your father have, like, no ownership of the house?
I mean, he lives there, but he ain't cooking.
He ain't cooking. What do you make for Thanksgiving dinner?
Me? What do I make? I bring dessert.
Really? You bring something? That's. I think you're lying. I don't think you bring anything.
I say, what should I bring? And sometimes I get told to bring dessert. Otherwise, I come with nothing.
I suspect you always come with nothing. But Michelle, you always come to your parents' holiday parties with schizophrenia and paranoia and anxiety and depression and all of the things that make Michelle wonderful. How do you handle it?
When I was, younger, I would be like, I need to show my family how normal I am. I need to be, the most normal person here. But then I realized I'm hanging out with my family. None of these people are normal. I'm just going to be myself.
You could probably make an argument that they made you this way. I don't mean they made you have schizophrenia. I just mean that some of your mannerisms and values and ideals came directly from their influence. So some of that weirdness that they point out is really just an extension of their behavior as well.
I don't think I'm the only crazy person that's going to be at Thanksgiving, if you really think so.
So aside from you, who is the craziest person that's going to be at your house for Thanksgiving?
I'm not really sure.
You liar. It's your mom. You told me before we started recording, you were like, my mom is straight up nuts. I don't know.
Never said that.
Those were your exact words, except you said it, Michelle. You were like, my mom is straight up nuts. That's what you said. Those were your exact words.
I did not say that.
I have it recorded. I'm going to hit play.
No, you're not.
My mom is nuts.
I never said that.
That was your voice.
She might cook with nuts.
This is a podcast, so nobody can see the face that, what?
You cook with nuts. You never, in a pie, I don't know. I don't know how to cook.
I want everybody to know that I am resisting the obvious joke here that all men cook with nuts.
You cook, you use the walnuts and almonds, a macadamia nut. There's many different nuts.
If there are any first-time listeners for the podcast, I promise we're going to get to something productive right now. I think a lot of people believe that their families are looking down their nose at them on these holidays because holidays are really scary. And I think that the reason that holidays are scary for adults living with mental illness is because we work it up in our minds. Michelle, you've reached a detente with your family. They know
what
you're
the hell
weird.
does detente mean?
An agreement, a realization. You've negotiated terms. They know you're weird. You know they're weird. And you all just behave weirdly. And you get through the day and everybody gets turkey.
That's true. Everybody talks about their jobs. And everybody's really successful. And then they say, Michelle, how's your business going? We're so proud of you.
What?
It's so great.
You bring this up a lot, Michelle, and I want you to explain it better because I think it's important. You get so offended when people are proud of you. You're the only person in America that's like, my mom is proud of me, bitch. What the hell? I would love for my family to be proud of me. What? Seriously? What's the issue here?
It's a babying thing. If I got a PhD, they'd say congratulations.
I'm proud of you.
There's a difference between congratulations and I'm proud of you.
So you feel that what they're saying is, oh, look at little Michelle.
Look at little Michelle. She finally made it through college and she got herself together and now she's doing something that's kind of good, working really hard at it. Let's tell her we're proud of her so she feels good about herself and she's doing something good. But she doesn't have a real job like the rest of us. But we're proud of what she's doing. You know, it's good because, you know, she couldn't keep those real jobs. Those real jobs.
Okay, hang on. What would you prefer that they say to you on Thursday? So it's Thursday. You show up without dessert because we know that's not going to happen. You walk in, your mom and dad look at you, and they say, this is the correct answer now, and they say...
How's work?
And you say...
Then I'll tell them all the stuff I have lined up.
And then they'll say...
That sounds great. Good luck.
And you don't think that that's condescending? That's great. Good luck.
I don't know. Okay, but there's something different that's like, okay, say I was a teacher. How's work? Oh, it was really good. I really like my class. It's really going well. Oh, that's wonderful to hear. I'm glad work is going well for you. They never say, oh, I'm so proud of you for becoming a teacher.
I understand what you are saying. I do. You and I talk about this all the time, that it's not about the words, it's about the context. And you feel that people don't have better compliments for you because they're just trying to like satisfy you and move on to the quote important people. That's basically what you're saying, that they don't have a lot of respect for your business endeavors.
It's not that they don't have respect for my business endeavors. It's like I'm being babied. I feel like a baby.
First off, is it possible that this is all in your head? I don't mean like for schizophrenia. So I don't mean are you hallucinating and do you need medicated? I mean like, is it possible that you're just being hard on your family? That they actually are proud of you, they're trying to communicate it, and you're just all...
I could say that's possible. Yes.
Okay, so how can you respond better so that you don't spend the whole day pissed off eating turkey?
I don't know. I'll figure it out.
You could say thank you.
I'll just say thank you. Oh, thank you.
You could say thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm so glad you're proud of me. I'm proud of you for having children. And I'm proud of your children for having more children. And I hope those children grow up and have children. And then I'll be proud of them.
I want the audience to take away that snarkiness is hilarious for a podcast, but ain't none of us want to be in your house on Thursday. Like all of us are like, oh my God, that is a passive aggressive turkey fest.
Proud of me. I'm going to say, I am so proud of you that you were able to cook this meal. I'm so proud of you for cooking this turkey. I'm so proud of you. And see what she thinks. I'm so proud you were able to make this stuffing. I am so proud of you for cooking this asparagus. I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of you for hosting this Thanksgiving dinner. I am so proud you were able to do this.
I have to admit, if you ever hosted a Thanksgiving dinner in your apartment, I would be so proud of the people who came.
Yes.
Like for real.
I am so proud of all of the guests.
Oh, it's a
I am
war
so
zone.
proud that you took the train to get here. I am so proud that my dad's going to pick me up from the train. I am so proud that he knows how to drive.
This is all an illustration of how you feel that people look down on you because of the stigma of mental illness. You don't feel that they're judging you fairly. You think that they're kind of looking down, that they're not respecting your business endeavors, your success. You don't, in fact, you don't think that they're even respecting your failures. You just think that no matter what you do, they're going to pat you on the head and tell you that they love you and move on. And you don't want that. You want parents that see you as an equal, which means if you fuck up, you want them to say, that's bullshit. And if you do well, you want them to be impressed that you did well just because you did well, not impressed because you did well with schizophrenia.
Right.
What you're really searching for is like equality.
Right.
And you feel that by not getting that equality, they're looking down on you.
Yes.
So even though you're some age that's not 18, you're kind of fighting that battle, like where you want your parents to see you as a grown-up.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But it is important to recognize that as you established, I am going to be 42 years old, and my grandmother still thinks I'm 6.
Yes. Understood.
I have not drank milk with dinner since I was 17 years old. Yet every single time I show up at my grandparents' house, my grandmother pours me a glass of milk. It's been 25 years since I wanted milk with dinner, and she still gives it to me.
Join a Jewish family, you will never have milk with dinner.
Yeah, but no, okay, you're missing the point. I think that one of the things that frustrates people about these holidays is the traditions, because traditions are valuable, and traditions, they show us where we came from, they honor our past, but another word for tradition is obligation.
Yeah.
Because we're obligated to participate in them. And that can be good. Some obligations are good. We have obligations to each other. It's a tradition of this podcast that we get together, we make snarky comments, we beat each other up, and then we start the podcast. But it's also obligatory. We must do it because it's what gets us revved up. It's what gets us going. It's the soundtrack is tradition, but it's an obligation.
Are you upset that you don't get to pardon the turkey and that the president does?
What the hell are you talking about?
I'm talking about Thanksgiving traditions. The turkey that gets pardoned. Do you want to pardon the turkey?
Yes. The president gets to pardon a turkey every year, and that is an American tradition. But you realize that this means that the president of the United States has to work on a holiday and has to do something, and it's an obligation for his office.
Where does the turkey go that gets pardoned? To like Turkey Heaven, Turkey Haven? Like, is there like a whole like farm? It's like, you've been pardoned, come hang out on our farm. It's like for all the pardoned turkeys, and you like play on slides all day.
Name a tradition in your house, Michelle. Like a tradition that you like, sincerely. Don't bring up the tradition of mom and dad getting in a fight right before the turkey comes out of the oven. That's the tradition in my family, so you can't have it.
What tradition, turkey, Thanksgiving tradition, what tradition do we have? Eat? Watch football,
do you have turkey?
Football and eat food? Those
football
players miss Thanksgiving because they got to play football. Oh, no.
We're going to step away for a moment to hear from our sponsor.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp.com. Secure, convenient, and affordable online counseling. All counselors are licensed, accredited professionals. Anything you share is confidential. Schedule secure video or phone sessions, plus chat and text with your therapist whenever you feel it's needed. A month of online therapy often costs less than a single traditional face-to-face session. Go to BetterHelp.com/Psych Central and experience 7 days of free therapy to see if online counseling is right for you. BetterHelp.com/Psych Central.
Welcome back. We're talking about how to survive Thanksgiving with your family.
You said that your family's Thanksgiving tradition was to eat food, turkey, and watch football. And that's the tradition. So in many ways, it's an obligation if you go to the Hammer household that you're going to be eating this menu and watching this game. So if you don't want to participate in this, it's not the fun and loving tradition. It's now an obligation. You don't strike me as a football fan, Michelle.
I'm really not a football fan. Really not.
But you do it because of the tradition.
Well, I mean, if I try to change the channel, everyone's going to kill me.
Exactly. So now it's an obligation. And this is why people with mental illness have such a hard time. Because, listen, you shouldn't change the channel. That's unreasonable. But maybe some of the things that you want changed are reasonable for you, but unreasonable for the other people in the room. And this creates this issue. It creates this problem. It creates this dichotomy where in order to get your needs met, you need these changes. But in order for everybody else in the room to have their needs met, they need you not to want those changes. So now you're at like a standoff. You're all staring at each other and wonder who's going to get their feelings hurt. And it usually becomes a numbers game. The family outrules the person living with mental illness. And that's why we feel so alone and isolated. So there has to be a solution to this.
I know you're saying. I mean, our last family get-together was the most ridiculous thing ever. We had my second cousin came over and she was not well. She was manic as could be, saying the most inappropriate things. We're all yelling at her, you got to go to therapy. You got to go to therapy. You got to go to therapy. And she's just like, no, I'm not going to go to a therapist. They're so judgmental. And she goes,
Was this Rosh Hashanah?
Yes.
Okay, and this is, you guys were in a restaurant, if I remember correctly.
No, we were at my parents' house.
Okay, well, that's a little better. So, but in order for her to feel heard, she started yelling and acting erratic, right? And the rest of the family didn't like this because they made them like uncomfortable because of the things that she was saying, and they were scared for her.
We were terrified for her, and I was like, you got to go tell this to a therapist because maybe they've, experienced this before and they can give you the right advice. And she just keeps going, they're judgmental. I'd rather just talk to my family. And I'm like, hello, we're all telling you to go to a therapist. And if she thought we were judging her any harder than a therapist would, she was way wrong. And then I found out she was in the psych ward for like 2 weeks.
But there's an example of where she might have left thinking that her family wasn't supporting her.
No, she did not. She thought we all supported her because I had to take the train back to the city with her. She had no idea that she was out of control. We ran into my friend on the train, and it was just ridiculous. And she said she was 60 going on 20. She wanted to make a porno tape, but she's too old. It was absolutely absurd. But I can tell you, I ran into her on Halloween, and I saw her, and I've never seen her more stable in my entire life. Whatever happened in the psych ward, they got her on the right meds, and she was the most normal I've seen her in my entire life. It was complete 360 from Rosh Hashanah. So she's doing so much better now. But that Rosh Hashanah dinner was, for lack of a better word, the craziest dinner I've ever had in my entire life.
But that's a pretty extreme example.
Yeah.
I think many of our listeners aren't going to have that kind of a Thanksgiving. I think they're going to have the kind of Thanksgiving that you talked about at the top of the show, where they feel judged by their family, or they don't get to watch the television show they want, or one of the traditions offends them and they don't want to do it, but the rest of the family does. Or, their parents tell them that they're proud of them and suddenly that's a bad thing. What about all of those people? Because we need family. We don't want to cut off our families. I don't believe there's anybody listening to this show that is dreading seeing their family on Thanksgiving that thinks to themselves, I really don't want to see my family. They might not want to see their family under these conditions, but they do want to be part of their family, but they're anxious about it. They're scared about it. They're terrified.
That's true.
I get this way. I once had a panic attack that was so bad at Thanksgiving dinner, I stayed in the bathroom for an hour and a half, and I had my wife tell everybody that I had massive diarrhea. True story. I convinced everybody that I had a 90-minute diarrhea episode because I didn't want to admit that I was having such a severe panic attack that I was literally laying on the bathroom floor naked, rocking back and forth to cool my body. I was that panicked.
Well, what preempted that? What started it? Was there anything that started it, or was it all in your head?
Well, I mean, mental illness is always all in your head.
Well, I mean, did somebody say something, or it just nothing, just popped up?
I just got myself really, 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 really worked up. My family is, they're not bad people, but they're loud and we're loud and you've got to be on your game. And I was away from home, so I was outside, and by away from home, I mean like 700 miles away from home. So I was outside of my routine. I didn't have my coping mechanisms down yet. This was my second wife, and things were always stressful. Nobody's fault. Things were just always stressful because I wasn't as well as I am now. So I was sort of in recovery, but like just getting in there, and I thought I could handle it, and I didn't pay attention to the warning signs. My family didn't know what was going on, and I just rocked back and forth naked on a floor and told everybody I had diarrhea. And this worked. I think that they will probably listen to this show and be like, when did that happen? And I'll be like, remember that time I told you it was gastric bypass? And they'll be like, oh. So we've all done it. But what I learned is that there was things that I could do to improve this. Like, I don't have to spend the entire day with my family. I have a car. I can go sit at a restaurant for an hour and, drink a soda and read a magazine, or, read Psych Central, or listen to some podcasts and relax. I can go for a walk around the neighborhood. I can go in a back bedroom with my nieces and nephews and play with them. I don't have to participate in every conversation that happens. My family in general doesn't push. If I don't want to talk about something, they change the subject. So we have all conditioned each other to have better holidays. And I will say one of the best things that we ever did in my household is remove the conversation of politics and religion off the table. The closest we get is we say grace and then we're done. We're not all sitting around debating a current state of affairs in America or arguing about Jesus, because that's just nuts. So we focus on the things that we like.
I get you. We all agree on politics, the people who come to our Thanksgiving, so we can discuss it just fine.
That's probably very helpful. I do not have the same in my family. We disagree on many things, or we're slightly left of center. I don't think we have gigantic differences in my family, but some of the things that we disagree on, we're passionate about. And it's not to say that we never discuss them, because we do. My sister and I, we talk about politics. My grandmother and I talk about politics. I mean, we talk about all kinds of things, but maybe Thanksgiving Day with a group of people is not the day to hash out your political views. That's all I'm saying. I think that every adult in the room, mentally ill or not, should agree on some basic ground rules. And this really, really helps people who are suffering from depression, anxiety, and on and on and on. It really is a good mental health trick. Tell your family that these subjects are off limits and you'll have a better Thanksgiving.
That's true. I mean, I know there's questions that I definitely don't want to be asked. So, I mean, I'm going to have to just say to my mom, don't ask me this, don't ask me that, don't say that, and don't say that. We'll be okay.
Well, yeah, and if your mom is a reasonable person, what she should think is, listen, I want to ask you that, and I want to know the answers to those questions. But Thanksgiving Day is not the day. And this is the things that our loved ones can do and that the people around us can do to help us. They can just remember that, hey, Thanksgiving Day is not the day. And one of the things that we, as people living with mental illness, can do is offer to talk to them later. We do set ourselves up to fail sometimes because we're like, look, I avoid my entire family except on Thanksgiving and Christmas, or Thanksgiving and holidays or whatever. And then they have to take the opportunity to sort of drill us for information because we're incommunicado the rest of the time. That's not okay. You know, my parents asked me hard questions when I got diagnosed. I didn't necessarily want to answer them, but I did make time to answer them. And I encouraged them to take different classes. So, you know, that was very, very helpful. If your loved one refuses to learn about your illness, if your family refuses to get on board with understanding what you're going through, have them listen to this podcast and say to them, look, I will do my part, but you've got to do yours.
Word up.
Just a word up. You got nothing else, Michelle?
No, I agree with that. My mom says she learns a lot from this podcast, actually. So she has many questions she wants to ask me. She says when she listens, she wants to write down questions and then call me and ask me those questions. And that she loves Gabe so much. She just loves Gabe. She loves you.
Aww. I love her too. She's the bestest.
Are you proud of her?
Don't draw me into your argument. Michelle, I have a great story to tell you about our podcast. I was speaking in Tennessee at a National Alliance on Mental Illness event. I gave the keynote, and it was very, very cool. And one of the things when I got there and people were like, this is Gabe Howard, he's the speaker, many people asked me where Michelle was. And I said, well, you know, Michelle and I don't always travel together, although we can, but you just have me. And one of the people that asked me that, she said, well, I want to tell you and Michelle both this story, but since it's unlikely that I will see you both, I'm going to tell you, and you have to promise to tell Michelle.
Oh, tell me.
And I said, okay.
Tell me. I want to know.
I'll do that.
You got to tell me now.
She said that she is not a person who lives with mental illness, but her son is. Her son lives with mental illness. And one of the things that they started doing that is very meaningful to them is they both listen to the podcast separately, just on their own time. They both listen to the show. And then, you know, once a week or once every other week, they get together and they have lunch or dinner or coffee, and they talk about the show. They don't always agree with everything that we say. Sometimes they disagree. Sometimes they like it. Sometimes they have more to add on. They ask each other, Mom, is that how you felt? You know, my son, is that how you felt? You know, what do you have in common? What is different for you? What is the same? But here's what I love the most, and I don't even think they realize it, so I hope I don't break the glass for them when I say this. They think that they're talking about the podcast. They're not. They're talking about what their lives are like because mental illness has interfered. They're talking about mental health, and they're talking about their relationship. They just think they're talking about the podcast. And that's just one of the things that I love about our show. because they're learning about each other and how this situation that they didn't ask to be in affects the other one. And I do believe that that is making their relationship better. And I'm not taking credit for that. I'm just saying that's a great outcome for a show like ours.
I know. I'm so proud of us.
I swear to God. Michelle, we should be proud. We are doing great work. Final thoughts that I want to give people for Thanksgiving. Your family may be crazier than you. You don't know. Take a deep breath. Enjoy the holiday. They won't be around forever, and you will miss them. Michelle has even told me that she will someday miss her mother.
I will.
See?
She's a good cook. I'm so proud of her for being such a good cook.
Thank you, everybody, for listening in. I hope you have a very happy holiday season. Please leave us a review on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you listen to this podcast. Feel free to comment on psychcentral.com/BSP or on Facebook. And frankly, you need to be sharing this with everybody you know. Don't make us the best kept secret on the internet. We will see you all next week.
I am so proud of you.
You've been listening to A Bipolar, a Schizophrenic, and a podcast. If you loved this episode, don't keep it to yourself. Head over to iTunes or your preferred podcast app to subscribe, rate, and review. To work with Gabe, go to gabehoward.com. To work with Michelle, go to schizophrenic.nyc. For free mental health resources and online support groups, head over to psychcentral.com. The show's official website is psychcentral.com/BSP. You can email us at show@psychcentral.com. Thank you for listening, and share widely.